Another podcast, Ben.
Another podcast.
Another podcast. Well, another podcast for me. This is, I think, the third one on this channel. And today, guys, welcome back to another video of Nick Talks podcast. Today, I got my former client and very good friend, Mr. Ben Zogby, with us today. Maybe you've seen it. We've done some videos together before, and we're here in Miami. And I said, dude, you got to come out. What has it been for you? 3 years
since I've been here? 3 years.
Yeah. So I said, you got to come out. It's going to be great. It's beautiful. Look at the weather. And we're here.
How can you say no to that?
No, you can't. You can't. So what you been up to, dude? You sold your company.
Sold my company 2 years ago.
Yep.
Been doing some private equity since then. I got a portfolio with 3 businesses, doing consulting as well. Chilling, taking it slow, enjoying life. Got a incredible relationship going as well. So just
Nice.
kind of winning and everything, and super blessed, to keep up the momentum. But yeah, man, work together a lot, and it's good to kind of continue the relationship as friends and just talk business.
Yeah, so one of the things we were talking about yesterday, is I wanted to touch on it now that you said you got the portfolio going, the whole thing. Something interesting that I noticed is it's been a long time since I started the business from scratch. And it was cool in person, because I work with a lot of clients online, but it's cool in person seeing you go through that creative process again after selling the company. You quote unquote like made it a little bit or a lot. I don't know how you define that. And
in my opinion, I haven't made it yet. It's just,
okay.
It's all still a grind,
But in many people's case, you're set, to a degree. And now you're going through that creative process again. And I think you've talked to me about like 15, 20 different ideas you're getting excited about.
Yeah.
How has that been for you to start something from scratch again? And what's that process you're going through? Because you're jumping through this thing, then that thing, and they're all making you excited. So what does that look like?
I'll tell you what, it's a lot less stressful to do it, to iterate through a business idea when you don't have to make it work than when you do have to make it work. So if you're in a job that you hate and you're trying to, I need to make a business, I need to escape the matrix, and you're putting all that pressure on yourself, you're actually a lot less likely to succeed doing that than if you're to just take it slow, go at your own pace, and kind of organically let ideas come to you and put them into application and see what comes out of it. So that's where I'm kind of at now. I kind of have 2 different verticals for adding to the portfolio. I build and I acquire. So at this point in my life, if I'm building and something's not working and and there's like a fork in the road and it's not working, then I just ditch it because I don't need it. At this point, I'd much rather acquire a company that's already doing well and producing good cash flow, because you take the guesswork out of it. And more so on the building side of things, I just do that when I have a good idea for like a passion project. And if it becomes a big cash flow business, then great. But at the end of the day, I still need to be building, like to satisfy that part of my brain that's just needs to be building. I still need to try testing ideas. That's kind of what we're doing with Click Labs. I know I talked to you a little bit about that.
The AI stuff.
Yeah, with the cash flow businesses, like the boring stuff, that stuff, it's like it's not worth trying to brute force anything if it's not working at this point.
So what would you say the goal is now? Like, the way I think about things is really get things stacked up. And I'm gonna shut my notifications off here so they're not bothering us.
Yeah.
But really get things like money stacked up. The number in my head is like $10 million, and then I can go do some other. I have ideas for different special things that I will do after this digital stuff, cash flow wise, works out. And I say 10 million stacked up after tax, the whole thing. But that's me, and that's how I think about it. And I'm curious how you think about, like, are you still aiming for more cash flow, more money, or is there some kind of passion project you're trying to do? I'm just curious, like, where that goes after you exit something.
Yeah. So the first thing I'll kind of say is, if you're aiming for like a number in your bank account, I don't see that as being the best way to go. I think enterprise value is what you should be chasing. And so if you have a business that's cash flowing you $100K a month, that to me is better than $10 million in cash, because you put the 10 million into something that's gonna give you monthly cash flow, you're not gonna get 100K. You might get 400K a year off of that, 4 to 8%, 4 to 800K a year on the 10 mil. sure, it's cash that you have, you can go
Yeah.
deploy, but you know, in private equity, it's like if you're getting 12 to 20% returns, that's good on the 10 million. So if you have a business that's cash flowing 100K a month, that's 1.2 a year. That's as good as having 10 million in the bank. Unless you need the cash for something, you're going to go make a big purchase. You know, I'd much rather have the cash flowing asset because it's a lot higher leverage because you can go double that business with your efforts and your work, and you can make twice the amount of monthly cash flow, which would equate to a 2x valuation.
My thinking on it is I look at it as two forms of security. I think cash flow is a form of security, and I also think cash stacked up is a form of security. So like, you know, if I want to go buy a big farm, I still want to have that amount of cash stacked up in case some shit breaks.
Yeah.
And so
you'd buy it in cash?
I wouldn't buy it in cash. That's not what I'm saying. I would want to have that stacked up plus the cash flow to then go put a down payment on and then replenish the cash with the cash flow to feel that form of security.
Yeah.
So something breaks in any regard. That's at least how I think about it. And maybe you think different. And I'm curious because obviously you sold the company. And what was that like, by the way, when you sold the company and you got the wire?
Oh, it was sick. It was sick.
What's it feel like to get, you know, a payment for a company after you sold it, like near that level?
It's good, and at least for me, I'm just thinking next steps already. So a significant amount of that money I reinvested into other companies and into other opportunities and reestablished some of that cash flow. We've since grown that cash flow, which has been great. But at the end of the day, it wasn't like an end.
Yeah.
Me. It was a chapter. So for me, like, to be honest with you, it was much more valuable to sell my company to be able to say that I sold a digital company. That being able to say that is a much more valuable statement than just $1 million in cash or 1.5 in cash, 1.8 in cash, you know? Because out of that, I've gotten opportunities to consult with people.
Reputation, leverage.
The amount of credibility, and I don't like toot my own horn, but the amount of credibility that you can have saying I sold a company for 7 figures it puts you in a different class, and it immediately kind of escalates you above anyone else who just, oh, I run a business and I made 7 figures this year. Okay, well, great. I exited my company for 7 figures. And you know, I'm not trying to slight anyone or put anyone down, but it's just a separate level of accomplishments that I really wanted to get to in order to get to the next step. And for me, selling the business was about turning that corner and making the next step more so than it was about just getting some money.
What's super interesting is, as well, was an info product business, and you don't see a lot of info businesses that sell. You know, publicly, there's like Hormozy that sold. There's definitely been a couple others, but a lot of these businesses are attached to a figurehead, and at least I see a lot of people that are in the info industry, they look at things and are like, well, I can't sell this. I could never sell this info business. You could maybe sell an agency, but you could definitely sell e-com. You could definitely sell software. How true do you think that is? Because obviously you sold an info business, but you're dabbling in software, you're dabbling in other things. I think it's sellable. Obviously, I've seen it. I think I could eventually maybe sell Launch Socials if I wanted to and remove it from myself. I'm curious, though, because you do it every day.
Yeah. People put imaginary constraints around sellability. It's very straightforward. If you have a business that can not only make you money, but can make someone else money, and it's transferable to them, then all bets are off. Negotiations are on for that business. Like, it's cash flow.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, cash flow speaks for itself. But if the cash flow can't be transferred, that's the wall that gets in the way. So if you remove me from the business and it's not a business, not sellable. I don't care what the business is. If you can remove me from the business and it's still a cash flowing business, it's 100% a sellable asset. It's like saying, I have an apartment building that has 100 units, each renting for $4K a month, right? That's obviously a sellable asset.
Yep.
Versus I have a steamship that rents out its rides to 100 people a day for $20 a day, right? That's also a sellable asset. It's a different vehicle, but at the end of the day, if you can transfer that business to someone and it's going to make them money, like, there's going to be people interested in buying.
And you're buying and selling info businesses right now. What are the multiples you're seeing?
Info and software.
So what are the multiples you're seeing between the two?
2 to 5x, depending on
an info.
On info.
Wow.
2 to 5x.
On what number? Profit?
EBITDA, profit. Yeah.
Interesting. You got me thinking about. You got me.
I've been trying to be in your ear about this for years now.
Maybe a couple of years. Maybe
Yeah.
a couple of years from now.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, you get a good thing going, you get cash flow. Why change it?
Do the multiples change with size on an info business? Like let's say you're doing 10 mil profit a year versus 50 mil profit. Let's even say 2 mil to 20 mil.
Yeah.
Does the multiple
Yes.
change?
It goes like this.
Really?
Yeah. So I'd say the cutoff is 10 mil. So if you're under 10 mil, 2 to 5. But if you start to get over 10 mil, then your multiple can start to go up. 5, 8, 10, 12.
What's the best one you've seen
The best exit?
on an info?
I don't know what Hormozy was doing for gym launch, but he probably got the highest multiple
Got it.
on an info/service. I kind of group those all into the same business type, but he probably got, and I don't want to speak out of turn here, he probably got it at 5 to 8x.
Got it. It's really interesting to see do the math in your head and say, oh, interesting. That's the numbers might match up a little bit. Anyway, there's a stigma around info. We've talked about it, and you've talked about it before, where the FTC started cracking down on a lot of companies. A lot of people need to be careful with what they're saying out there. Some crazy stuff.
You need to either be careful or be not big enough for them to care.
And we've seen some guys recently. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Some of these Amazon automation guys that have been getting put away.
Shipwrecked.
They're promising X amount of.
Wait, they got put away?
Oh, I don't know if they got put away.
I think it was mostly civil.
Yeah, civil.
Okay.
Maybe I misspoke. Maybe they should be put away with some of the stuff that they're claiming out there. But I've seen some wild stuff. Obviously that's a factor we've talked about before, and I remember because I was running, the marketing in some sense for the company that you ended up selling. You're like, oh, we got to tighten down. I'm seeing this thing, that thing, etc. And I'm seeing it more and more even now today. And I mean, obviously that's a major thing happening. But I also think, and where I'm going with this is, there's a stigma around info. We're in Miami right now. You go to Brickell, you can walk around and you'll bump into a couple of the guys that are out there claiming some things that maybe are a little bit weird and crazy. And I'm not saying that's everybody, because it's not even close to everybody. There's plenty of info people and guru types that no one's ever seen.
It's because it's so attractive now. Like, there were a few pioneers, right? And they all have a certain vibe. And they did very well doing generally good business and selling good things.
Yeah.
And so everyone saw the money that they're making and I want to do that. And everyone goes to flock to do it. And, at the end of the day, if so many people are trying to do the same thing, there's going to be people that just can't fulfill it and try to do it anyway. And so as that sample size gets bigger, you're going to get a bigger spread of results and legitimacy, credibility, everything like that. So I think what we're seeing is just a spread
thin of the market.
The market spread thin, and so many people wanting to do it that people are starting to carve out new and sometimes untested parts of those waters.
One, I think there's definitely a lot. Info has allowed a lot of people that shouldn't be in the info game to get in the info game because it's been easy, and I think it's getting harder.
It's so attractive.
Super attractive.
You get it right.
Another thing we were talking about is like this whole growth partner type of agency thing. You have 300 followers on your new IG, and you're getting DMs all day of like, hey, let me grow this. Let me pitch you this. Let me pitch you that. There's a saturation happening in the market where I think it's leaving real, like, if you're not big and look real and look legitimate, I just don't see how you kind of survive it or
there's a
scale
formula.
it.
There's a formula that if you don't have, you're at a disadvantage because everyone else is playing the same game. So by playing the game, they break down barriers and they say, I'm doing it this way, just like all these other people. And by default, customers associate their way of playing the game with other big people that are playing the game doing it well. And they associate them together, and so that's an effective form of marketing for those people. But if you don't go that route and you choose not to opt into the same marketing, like
can you expand on that, for example?
Yeah, for example, we're sitting on a balcony in Miami, and there's a million other places where we could be filming this, but subconsciously, it's like if you do that, then you're acting like all these other people that are doing that and doing well. And so whether we did this intentionally or subconsciously or not,
well, we definitely did it intentionally. It looks great.
We are still opting into that marketing style.
Sure.
Which is, it's
I
been
think
set
there's
as
a
a
difference.
standard.
I think there's a difference. If I sat here though, and I was like, look at me, we're in Miami, look at the view, you, like that's, to me, that's just like an outrageous way to like promote your brand, and you attract a lot of people that maybe don't have the best belief in themselves. That's at least my thinking. But we're sitting here and we're just talking, and you happen to notice that there's a nice view behind us.
Until I call it out directly.
Until you call it out. But that's an example because we're marketers.
Yeah.
So, but I look at it like that, where there's a tasteful way to throw it in. You know, there's a tasteful way to throw the Lambo in to your brand where you never mention it. You're just like in a video and you happen to be in a Lamborghini and people are like, nice car, and you're like, thanks. But that's different than, look at me, I'm in a Lambo, I'm better than you.
Yep.
And good luck making it. You know, it's like,
well, I mean, that works
that's
too.
a big difference.
That works
though.
too. It's just a choice that people make.
Fair enough. I wonder personally how much longevity that has though.
Doesn't. So, yeah. So you're just attracting different people, right? And when you come to a market, you got to be intentional about the way you're coming to the market. And whatever way you choose to advertise yourself and your product, you're attracting that type of person, right? There's billions of people, and basically whatever you do, if you do it smart, you're gonna find customers. It just depends who those customers are. Refund rates are probably a lot higher for the type of marketing you mentioned.
The second one?
Second one, that's a cost of doing business for those people. That's how they see it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know if they see it that way, but we as intelligent individuals see it that way.
Well, cost of doing business is like it's just a conscious trade-off that they're making.
Sure.
They're saying, okay, you know, I'm willing to make this type of content to reach more people, and by doing so, I'm just going to get more people that don't like it for whatever reason. And I'm okay with that trade-off.
That's fair.
And for a lot of people, that trade-off makes sense.
That's fair. Final question on info, as someone that's been in it just as long as me. How big do you think, realistically, these things can scale? And what does it take to scale? Like to a, obviously neither of us have, but you look at Cardone. Cardone's doing $250 million a year in info sales. That's insane. You know, he's got the 100 salespeople or more, the whole marketing team. He's going crazy on paid ads. In your opinion, does it ever make sense to try and go massively big like that? Or is the lifestyle better small and money is better made in a different, opportunity?
It depends
and
on
what
your goals.
what does it take to even go big like that? And why did you, this is a big question. Why did you sell? This is part of it.
Yeah.
Why did you sell the number you did instead of going and trying to scale as big as something like that?
Because I knew from day one what I wanted to do. I wanted to build a company, take a couple $1 million off the face of the planet, put it in my bank account, and then do what I wanted.
Yeah.
That was my goal.
Okay.
So I think a lot of times, and coming from a trading background, this will make sense to a lot of people that have traded before. The higher you go, the easier it is to keep pushing your goal up and up and up. And especially in a trade or an investment, a lot of times that'll just lead you to a place where you're crashing and burning.
I mean, not crashing and burning, but I feel exactly what you mean. It's like,
Right.
I hit this, it's not enough.
Right.
I hit this, it's not enough.
Yep.
I've talked about it on this channel and other channels. The goal right now is $1 million a month, cash collected.
Yeah.
Not profit, like mine is cash collected. Our margins on that would be 70%. So like to me, it's like info margins, it's a little different than e-com. But I'm like, is that going to be enough?
Yeah, it will. But listen, when you're
I might hit it.
When you're
and
at
it's like,
957, when in October this year you do 957K in profit, is your goal going to be $1 million? No, it's going to be 2, 3.
yeah.
So the
4.
goal keeps pushing up, right?
Yeah.
And so at what point, you have to be very intentional about at what point do you make the transition, if at all, ever. And so for a lot of people, they're just in the game to make as much money as possible, and that's great. That's great. For me, the game was make a couple $1 million, sell the company, and then put that money into cash flowing investments that are going to be able to carry me for the rest of the future. Personally, the trading business was not as sustainable of a business that I felt was a safe asset to hold for 40 years.
Got it.
So could it be huge? Absolutely. Does a private equity firm see a lot of potential upside in the acquisition? Absolutely. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought it.
Yeah.
Right. And so the potential's there, but I'd love for someone else to take that risk if I can hit my goals.
How do you view a business like mine where it's social media? Like, obviously, social's going to peak at a point, and then there'll be the next form of media.
If you can stay ahead of the trend and you can continuously put your product ahead of the wave, and you're good enough at anticipating trends that you can do that, and you pivot at the right times, then you could go forever. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. And so if you're going to have to pivot 20 times, and every time you pivot, you have a 50% chance of guessing right, you're going to pivot incorrectly at some point. Right? Every single info business, you just said, there's 500 people over there in Brickell doing the same thing. They're all competitive. They're all smart.
Yeah.
They're all trying to pivot to be in front of the next trend. And if you don't catch every trend, it's a dynamic market. If you don't catch every trend just right, the one time you don't pivot correctly, you're going to be left with no business. And so for me, that risk wasn't worth taking. I'd rather take the chips off the table when I had a 7-figure enterprise valuation. So we both manage teams. We both hired. We both fired people. Let's talk about let's talk about hiring and how to know if someone's a good fit.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I just fired someone this morning.
Yeah.
He'd probably be watching this. He's awesome. I like him. Wrong fit for the role though. And hiring's really interesting. I don't know if I've done more than you. I've built a couple teams for people, so maybe I have. The things I look for are quite interesting. You know, I look for culture fit like first. Before skill fit, obviously you got to be, you know, if I'm hiring a sales guy, I don't want a marketer. You know, I want a sales guy. So you have to have a rough skill fit, but I look for culture first. If you're fit on the culture side, like number one, I probably choose the culture fit person over the person that's good but has no idea about anything and doesn't mesh.
What about for a skill-based role where you have to have previous experience?
Depends on the skill-based role, I would say, because I could take running ads for sure. You know, like I'm gonna definitely, because I don't really need to speak to that guy running ads. He's not gonna be speaking to a customer. He's just gonna be writing the copy. Anybody can write the copy. The thing with ads is, you know, he's behind the screen, he's whatever. He doesn't have to be as much of a culture fit as you need to know how to run the freaking ads.
Yeah.
But the sales guy, the setter that's on the phone, I can take someone that's roughly new to sales and I can make them a great setter as long as they're a culture fit and know how to speak to our people.
Yeah.
But if they don't know how to speak to our people, but they're a great sales guy, they're just being a dick on the phone or something like that, I don't want that guy on the team. You know, he's got to know how to speak to the people that are in our audience. And the best way to do that is hire from my audience.
Yes.
So I like to hire from the lead sources, basically. You know, so it's the same way I get if I come into your business today, right, and whatever you're building, let's say you launch a new info company today, not that you are, and you're getting leads from the info company, from your brand, you know, you have 300K followers or whatever, I'm going to have you put a post up to the audience and say, hey, I'm hiring for a sales team, setters, closers, the whole thing. You need to be this, 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 and this. It's going to be best if you know who I am and you're a culture fit and you've already done sales a little bit. Apply here.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably get 100 apps and I'm going to go interview the top 20 and then I'm going to go see what that looks like from there. That's how I personally have hired. I've hired a lot on the sales side, a little bit on the marketing side, a little bit on the fulfillment side, and my best people always have been people that followed me already and are bought into the mission. Or customers, especially on the fulfillment side.
Best person I ever hired was a customer.
Okay, tell me about that.
Nate. Big raving fan of the customer, or of the product. Been with us I was a customer for like 3 years.
Yeah. We
put out an application for interns, applied, interviewed them. Beast. He's still with them today.
Nice.
4 years later.
And
longest employee of the company.
Did he have skills before, or was he just, I'm a fan of the company, I want to jump in, the whole thing?
Fan of the company, culture fit, and industry.
He knew how to trade.
Industry knowledge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think those are the three things that matter.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of recruiters out there, and there's a lot of you know, you can go to Indeed and that sort of thing. I've just never had any luck with it. Like I've always found it just.
I think Indeed is something like that's useful when you're at a certain critical mass. But if you're like a tactical company,
Yeah, it makes sense.
like guerrilla marketing, and you need people to jump on board and just be team players, Indeed's not really the place to find them. Those people are looking for benefits. They're looking for a 401k match. It's just like such a misalignment to what. Like,
I always wonder, where does it flip? Where does it flip from? We're a lean guerrilla team. Guerrilla warfare team.
Monkey warfare.
We're a lean guerrilla team.
You can say the monkey
team.
Yeah.
And where does it flip from that into we're corporate now? You know, is there a head count? Is there a culture change? I like to think that even if the head count changes, there's not really a culture change. Maybe they get some benefits. Maybe we allow them to have some benefits.
Yeah.
But no, I'm kidding. Of course. But I wonder if that's just a culture thing does it ever shift? Does it have to shift?
It's got to shift, yeah. So
why?
Because at a certain point, you're just opening yourself up to liability. If you have 1,000 people on your team and you're making like $100 million a year, you're a target. There's a target on your back. And one slip up by you, whether it's an HR, someone feels like they're being discriminated or they get fired, right? You have a target on your back.
Yeah.
So the bigger you get, the bigger your target
Have you dealt with anything like that?
Yes.
Ooh, really?
Can't talk about it on here because of what I've signed. But I
didn't know that.
I have, yeah, absolutely. The bigger you get, the bigger the target is. And the more people try to come after you. So I mean, you have to make the changes, but there's not like a certain number where you have to say, okay, now I'm turning it on. It's kind of something you build. The safety net is something you build as you go, and it just gets more and more robust.
We were talking about another thing that happens a lot in this industry last night, and I'll be careful with my words when I speak about it. But it's very common for people to work with you, and maybe they were fired, or it didn't work out, or you got rid of them, or whatever it was. And you then hear through the grapevine that they're using their experience with you to say, I worked with Ben, I grew his company to X amount and da 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 da. Did you? I thought I as Ben did that. You know what I'm saying?
So here's the thing about that. Go ahead.
I got one more point.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting where some people have, jump ship or this and that, and they don't see it as wrong, but it's like, hey man, like I put you on to all this. Like a little bit of credit, right? But it's something that we both dealt with in some regard, and it happens. It is what it is. I think it's part of playing the game, and it's part of doing business. I just find it interesting, and I don't know because I'm not in any other industries. Does it happen so much in this industry because it's internet based and it's online?
Happens everywhere.
It probably does.
And it's not. I don't think it's foul play either. I think at the end of the day, most people think that they do most of the work. And it's not just like them trying to take credit. It's them actually believing that they do most of the work. Because what they see every day is what they're doing. And they're immersed in it. And so if they're spending all day contributing to the success of a company and it's successful, then they associate their work with the success of the company.
Sure.
And a lot of times it's warranted. A lot of times it's not. And so, but either way, those people are going to think that they've contributed the most to the success because they've only seen their work, or they only are immersed in their own work. It's human nature. It's okay. It happens. But at the end of the day, everyone's out for themselves. And if you have a leverageable sentence that you can say, I helped scale this company, even if it's partially true, like you should be using it to go score new business. And if you're not, then you're leaving money on the table. And so I don't think it's really the end of the world. I mean, if you're blatantly lying and you came into a company as a closer and never closed any people, and then said, I helped scale Nick Rogers to $1 million a month, I mean, that's one thing. But if you're like at a company for multiple years and the company grew with your input over long periods of time, then you should go
leaving on a good page and the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't leave on a good page, you still did the work, and disputes happen, and that's business. And anyone who takes that stuff personally, it's like, I think you're just bogging yourself down, and you don't understand business. It's like, People are gonna do
It's
what
a ruthless
is best
game.
for them.
It's a ruthless game. It's not a soft game.
It's
you know,
the
like
game.
you don't like. Let's say a person on the team, you don't serve the mission right now today. Why should I keep you here? Can you adapt? Can you change? You may have served the mission from X amount to X amount, but now we need somebody bigger that wants to grow and wants to scale with the company. You just might not be the right fit, and then it's you have to sever that connection or relationship, and it's never usually a bad thing. It's more just like this is what serves the company today, right now. It's bigger than me as the owner. It's the company, which has to survive, which has to feed all the other people that work at the company. And if this thing isn't efficient, and it's a ruthless game in that regard.
The company has to come first, and if someone's not working out, the chances of them going from not working out to working out are virtually zero.
Especially when you give them a chance or two.
Virtually zero, right? And for you to hope for something that's probably not going to happen versus bite the bullet and get it over with and hire someone that's good for the role, that's putting the business in jeopardy. And you're making the wrong decision by putting the business in jeopardy to protect your own feelings of emotions. I don't want to fire this person.
One of the worst mistakes I've ever made is not firing or not demoting or changing when I knew it was the right decision.
Yeah.
Like waiting until it was the perfect right time or whatever, which is really just emotional lag of some sort. So I should have just done it when I knew it was the right decision to do it.
You'll never look at personnel management the same after this.
Okay, let's hear it.
The company comes first.
Yep.
You're subordinated to the company. I don't care if you're the CEO, 100% owner, founder, whatever you are. You come after the company.
Yep.
And so for you to prioritize your feelings and say, I don't want to have this tough conversation, you're being insubordinate to your boss, which is the company. And you're not putting the company first, you're putting yourself first, which at the end of the day is a road to not having a company.
And you're not putting all your employees first that are not, that are fine.
Because their jobs are at risk as well.
Exactly.
Their paychecks are at risk.
Things go south.
Yep.
What, because you had a pretty big team.
7.
What were margins like over there? You were paying these people pretty good, man.
55%.
Okay. How'd you feel about that?
Good. I mean, those margins were necessary in order to justify a sale. So I couldn't have sold it at 90% margins. I didn't have enough systems in place. I didn't have people that could go.
What if that 90 though was just like you're still out of the business and everything's good and it was super efficient to the point where it was 90% margin?
Yeah, I mean then that's
okay. So it's not like a number that they're looking for. It is just the health.
It's the health.
Okay, I didn't know if you meant
the longevity
like it was
of the business. So if you remove yourself from the business and the business dies, obviously you don't have a sellable asset. So for me to get to a point where the business was self-sustaining, those engines were internally driven without me, I had to give some padding and some margin away. And so I went from like 90 to 55% margin.
You were at 90?
I was at 90 when it was me and the one kid I hired to start.
And before us?
Before you.
Before us.
At 90, but a monthly income was between 40 and 100K. So I'd much rather operate at 240K top line, 55% margins than 90% and me removed.
Let's talk about being removed for a second. Because I think there's this misconception where it's like, oh, I'm removed from the business, I can just go fuck off. I can just do whatever I want.
To an extent. I did my fair share of fucking off.
What do you mean? Like what?
Just go take a vacation.
Yeah, okay.
Because I got a business that runs itself.
Okay, that's fair.
Your team won't like it though.
Was that a problem?
Where did you go? I can't do this.
Ben's not doing his job.
What job?
This is unfair. So that happened like often?
Let's just say it didn't not happen.
Okay. Interesting.
But I mean, at that point, it's just like I'll find someone else. If this $140,000 a month position is not enough for you, then I'll find someone else.
It's really interesting. People don't like change. And I think I'm bringing it back to like the owner of a company. It's really difficult to adjust your role sometimes for individuals. Like when you start the company, you start something, you're just trying to figure something out. You're just trying to get some followers, you get some sales, get the product to work, the whole thing. Then it's like, well, I got to remove myself so I can make more money, so I can, put a couple people in place on this thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's a change. That's a different way of being, and I think that's hard for some people because they maybe forget the trenches that they were just in, and then they're like, oh, I hired somebody, it's taken care of, and that's often not the case.
Yes.
You have to train that person, and it's a different skill set. And then there's another level of that where it's like, I'm removed from the company, and now I'm I'm the visionary, and everything is done for me by the team.
People don't like change, but more importantly, they don't like uncertainty. And it's your job as the owner. If you have equity in a company, it's your job to eat the uncertainty. And that's what you get paid for. So if you're a salaried employee, then you should have no uncertainty. You should understand that you're getting your paycheck regardless.
So more responsibility, more uncertainty.
More upside, more uncertainty. Not necessarily actual pay. And so if you're a salaried employee with a bonus or a commission, then you have some certainty and some uncertainty. And you're paid for your certainty. You're also paid for the upside that you create. So the more you get paid, the more uncertainty you have to deal with. And that's just a fact of life.
I want to switch gears a little bit because you almost moved to Miami, and we're in Miami right now. We had talked about this before. What was that, 2022?
Yeah.
Why didn't you move here?
I was gonna.
And I don't technically live here right now either.
Yeah.
Neither of us do.
It was more of a commitment than I was ready to make at the time. It was at the point in time where I was transitioning my company to be sold.
Yeah.
My team didn't know it at the time, but it was time to transition to sell at that point. And I saw Miami as a hub for where I was running my business. And when I went to transition to sell, I was thinking, well, I don't know what life after sale looks like, and so I'm not ready to commit to a certain location. I also had someone pass away up in Boston.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't know that.
That's okay. Had to go up there for the funeral, and that was just the timing of it. So I went up there for that, and the business was transitioning to be sold at that time. And so I found myself back in Boston for a few days for that, and it was kind of dawned on me like, okay, I'm not ready to move down there quite yet.
And so you want to sell first, but you haven't moved here yet. You're keeping, I respect it so much because you keep it super lean. Like
simple.
Like the guy, when I was visiting you maybe a year ago, the guy that like smashed your mirror or whatever on the car, and you're like, I got to get a new one, and then you just ended up keeping the car. Did you get that fixed?
I got it fixed.
Okay, so you got it fixed.
And he paid me.
Oh yeah, you told me. Yeah.
I'm scared to put the fear of God into that man.
So like, you keep it super lean.
Yeah.
You know, where does that come from? Because I'm the same way. Most of my expenses are just business expenses. Where does that come from for you? For me, it comes from, I want to extract as much profit from this entity as possible because that's my primary goal with this. My primary goal isn't to live a certain life or, I want to eat good food and I want to live a good life, but I don't need to be flexing, and the whole thing. So where does that come from for you?
It comes from a shift in priorities. Oftentimes, security is a lot less flamboyant than people make it out to be. Security is simple. A life where you're happy and you're content and you're working on things that you want to be working on, by definition, is not flashy. I think the more flash, the more the flash is covering up or something. So I've done the flashy shit. I've done the Miami.
Not even, bro.
I've done it. I've done it. I've spent
tastefully.
I've spent money on excursions for the team. Yeah. And then had people subsequently the next day tell me that they're not happy at the company. And so it's like, what sort of investment is that in my asset, in my life? It's not worth putting money into that stuff. And so for me, it just came to a shift in priorities. I tell you, the day I sold my company, I met the love of my life, and
really,
literally the day we had our first date. The day.
Wow.
And so for me, it was
the day the money came in, or the day the papers were signed, or like
our second date. I got the wire on our second date.
Wow.
This is like crazy. Got the wire on our second date, and so for me, it was sort of an awakening, and my priorities shifted like in that 1 week first it was like make as much money as possible. Second, it was maximize two things: my life and what I'm doing, and my contentness and my satisfaction with life, which was the relationship side of things, and the money. So it, like, you can't have both. You can't have both maxed out to the brim. The best way you can get by in life is to maximize both as much as possible without sacrificing either one. So it's a funny story. I'll tell the story. So the week of closing, we were set to have our first date, me and Elise. Closing, we were set to have our first date. And I was stressed out of my mind because I thought there might be some games being played. I was in a dispute for 6+ figures, and I was just stressed out of my mind. We were supposed to have our first date, so I kind of unintentionally ghosted her. We were supposed to meet for dinner, and I didn't confirm because I was just up to my neck in important stuff for business. And so what happened was we never went on the date. And I texted her the next day and said, hey, I'm so sorry. I had a lot of stuff with business. I had a lot of stuff with this ongoing thing. And little did I know that she was planning the whole time. She was planning on not answering me unless I said something very specific, unless I said, I'm sorry, this is why, and it was a good reason why. And so I told her at the date, I was like, yeah, I sold my company for $1.8 million this week, literally today. And she was like, all right, I guess that's a good enough excuse for us to go on a date. And then that was almost 2 years ago at this point.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
So you told her the money was coming in, and she kind of knew that you were selling it. Do you think there's risk in that? No, there's no risk. You knew she was the right one, or what? Because a lot of guys are weird, you know. I'm not going to tell her how much money I make. I'm not going to tell her what I do, the whole thing.
Well, I mean, how do you expect to have a full life with someone?
I agree.
If you're not filled in on that stuff.
I agree.
I mean, I think we've been through enough at this point where I trust her 100%. And even within a couple of weeks of meeting her, it's like she's not worried about that. She didn't ask about it at all. Like it was never like how much is like. It was never anything like that. So I think I have a good radar for that at this point in my life. And it's never been an issue, never will be an issue. She's an OG. She's a real one.
Yeah. Same way here. Same thing. Not that I sold my company, but
I can tell.
Yeah. How can you tell? What do you
because of the way you guys speak about things. It's like if someone's always asking how much you make today, or like how'd you do last month, even just in a curious way. The bottom of that is like, I mean, we'll talk about this in a second, but the bottom line to that is like they want to know how much you're making, how much their life can be benefited by what you're making. We have a mutual connection. We won't mention their name, but that the second he sees you, what'd you do last month? How much you make last month? Relax. One, I'm not telling you. Two,
why do you want to know?
Why do you want to know?
I'm doing good.
Doing good.
I'm doing excellent.
Doing good.
Yeah, it's always interesting. It's always interesting when I see it in the internet money space a lot, because a lot of what these guys have is just money. For many people, it becomes their life. It engulfs. And that's the thing they focus on. Other guys, it's like, I'm making money so I can party all day. And that's what they focus on. They focus on the partying.
Well, that may be an important step in their development. If they're 24,
it's fair.
It might be an important step. Because a lot of times you can't realize what's actually important to you until you get it out of your system.
That's right. Agreed.
So everyone finds their way to where they need to be. It's just different paths.
On the relationship thing, I mean, that's a good example of finding your path. Finding who's right for you. How, what girl, not who, definitely not a man. It's a girl. What woman is correct for you, and who, how is she going to support you and the entire thing. And I think something important is she multiplies and she adds to what you're doing and the thing you're trying to accomplish. She does not distract or pull away.
Yeah.
I don't want to be with a woman that's trying to build this big company. I don't think it's very biologically natural. She should want to be a mother and have kids. She can have her thing, maybe a little project or do a little something. But I want her to step into my world and support me and elevate what I do so we can both have that and provide for a family through that.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest downfall of anything, you could do this thing wrong, that thing wrong, this problem, whatever. The biggest downfall is a guy that's successful that picks the wrong woman.
It's an existential threat. For me, it's about being able to be aligned on goals. So I need someone that's a builder as well, someone who's got high sights and is able to listen to my work complaints, and I can come home and say, our closer is closing at 17% this month and I'm pissed about it, and she can understand what I mean.
Yeah.
And same thing for her. She's got her goals that she's working on, and she can come home and say, oh, I'm working on this issue, and if I solve it, I'll be able to get this much further, and how can I do it? And we can collaborate on stuff like that and help each other and give each other insights. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm alone in my quest. I want to feel like I can bounce ideas off someone, and vice versa. I want to know that I'm a resource for them as well. And so I think what we've struck is a really good balance.
How do you handle being, because this is something we've talked about, how do you handle being in Boston where there's not really a network of business guys?
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned when yesterday we're working, you're like, I like being in a space where we're both working really, really hard and just crushing it.
Yeah.
What do you do up there? How do you do? Because personally, I could lock myself away for a long time, and so I understand that, because I think you're creative in the way of, I want to create something, I want to try something and build something, but obviously you still need that little bit of connection here and there.
I mean, I'm just not a big networker. I feel like
no events for you. No networking events for you.
I'm never going to another 10X conference again.
You went to one?
Dude, me and Cam went to one. Biggest waste of $5,000 I've ever been. We left.
Really?
The second thing. Yeah.
I didn't know you went.
We were like, this is ridiculous.
Have I been to a couple events? I've been to like a couple. I'm not gonna say all of them are waste, but I'm like.
Well, I mean, certainly some of them are.
Yeah.
Anyway, not a big networker. So I feel like people that put too much emphasis on networking aren't confident enough in their own skills to be able to provide a path forward for themselves. And so for me, it's always been about self-reliance. Like, if I can't solve this problem, rather than trying to network to solve the problem, why not just get better at whatever this is so I can do it myself? And so that's always been my approach. And so I'm not a big networker. Like, I have a tight-knit circle, obviously, which you're a part of, and I'm here visiting you. And you asked me yesterday, like, oh, who else you seeing? I'm like, nobody, dude. Like, I don't need to see anyone else. Like, I got a few friends in Boston. I got family, and I've got my business partners, and I got people that I am business friends with, and that's the extent of my circle. It's probably 50 people is my circle.
Yeah.
Between friends, family, and business.
I'm similar.
It's great. It's awesome.
I'm similar. It's interesting because I do have a decent amount of followers, all combined, and I come to Miami. Hey Nick, let's hang out. Hey Nick, let's hang out from this direction. That just all over. I'm very popular. No, but the and I like these people, and I know these people. I consider these people friends. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, the biggest thing that I could do right now, the best thing that I could do right now, is I could film a podcast with Ben. I can go film a YouTube video. I can go film 10 short form videos today. I can go film 10, or tweet 10 times, send an email, push out volume in the thing that matters right now for me. And I struggle with that because I want to hang out with these people because they're friends of mine. But at the same time, like, right now, me seeing you does not serve the mission that is, like, critical, like, massive urgency. And sometimes there's seasons that I've found for locking yourself away. Sorry, man, I can't right now. And then there's also seasons for, hey, let's meet up. Let's grab a donut. Let's grab an ice cream.
Donut?
I don't know. I'm just the first thing that came to mind. I don't eat donuts, but let's grab a steak. Let's grab an ice cream. You love ice cream.
I am ice cream. I've had ice cream every night this week.
We should pop in a video, one of the old videos of you eating the ice cream.
We'll toss one in. Anyway, I think it all comes down to, like, what is the cost of doing something? And if it's not like it's not contributing to your life, and there are many ways for a relationship to contribute to your life. Like it doesn't have to just be business and transactional. But if someone brings you enjoyment and you think the connection is worth maintaining, then I absolutely think that's a good use of time. But if it's someone that wants something from you and you don't really have a ton to gain from them and you're not really good friends with them, then at the end of the day, not every text is a text that you have to answer.
I got a lot of texts to answer. I've been messing up lately with that.
How so?
It's just like too many people to talk to. I'm trying. So, big thing right now. Obviously, you kind of know some of my goals. Our current content we're trying to output on a weekly basis is about 555 pieces.
Yep.
Just add it up between all the channels, the whole thing. To manage that, which is this like, it's a big thing. It's not easy to do, I would say. It's easy in the sense of like you sit down, you film the content. Like I'm sure we're gonna get a bunch of clips out of this podcast.
Yep.
You sit down, you film the content, whatever, the whole thing. But to do that for 10 hours a day, to push that amount out, it kind of requires this tunnel vision. And before this, I was rebuilding the sales team. I was rebuilding the back end, the operations, a couple of those pieces, things like that. I didn't really talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I was just in this like bubble tunnel vision. And to a degree, maintaining your network takes like some nurturing almost when you have a lot of people in that. And so I feel like I want to be better at it. It's just tough. It's also tough because the more content you put out, the more people start to know you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Nick, why aren't you answering my DM? Why? I know you well. We've sat down. We've had dinner together. Or why aren't you answering my texts? I see you posting content all day. You posted 15 stories. It's like, it's like, yes, and I'm trying to answer you, but damn, it's tough to manage that.
Let me ask you a question about
both.
that.
Yeah.
So what is stopping you from hiring like a 3-person content team to just follow you around and own the content? Are you not confident in their ability to put out stuff that's going to push your brand forward? Or
I've found that I still need to be the one tweeting. It still needs to be for me. There's a clear difference when it's written by someone else or it's written by AI, at least right now with AI, versus when it's written by me. We use a little bit of AI for it. Emails are taken care of, they're handled. The thing is the amount of content that I'm trying to put out requires not just a team, but it requires me as well to be conscious. And so I have that. He's coming soon.
Okay, nice.
But it is he's my videographer.
So what's stopping you from putting a 4-hour block every Monday morning and writing 100 tweets and then just closing it?
There's a creative flow.
Shipping that. Okay.
There's a creative flow. When
it's got to come to you at the right time.
There's nothing stopping the whole thing. It's like I don't have to do that volume. I could just do an hour a day.
Yeah.
Call it a day. But I want to sprint. I want to go and double my following in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
I want to go crazy. And for me, that requires that level of tunnel vision. And it requires the large amount of time each day, which you might look at, or some people might look at, man, you're not really enjoying kind of the thing that you built.
Well, if you enjoy that, then you enjoy it.
I enjoy winning.
Yeah. Okay.
I enjoy like the progress.
Fair enough.
And the thing with a creative block is I can sit there with like videos or with tweet ideas that I maybe have already come up with, and I can bang them out in that block. That makes sense. I can review some content. I can review the emails that are written by the AI and the team, the clips that are cut. And we're posting like 30 clips a day right now on different channels outside my main. So I have that team there, that infrastructure is there. But the piece that is missing in that, like, I'm going to block out 2 hours, is the creative freedom to just flow. Oh, that's a sick idea. Yeah. Pick up the phone, film. I really want to write a tweet about this, a long tweet, because it means a lot to me.
Is there a way to voice memo it when you get the idea so it doesn't take up a big chunk of your day, and then batch them in a specific portion of your day? I've done
that. I do all that, yeah.
Or do you forget, or does the train of thought go away?
It's not that the train of thought goes away, and I do that, by the way. It's more like when I get the inspiration for something, I find that there's maybe it's a spiritual thing, maybe it's an energetic thing with the universe, but I get this thought, download, whatever, and I'm like, that's a great boom. I'm excited about it. Let me put it out. Like, it needs to go out now.
We're doing it.
I got it now. The energy's right. Let's put it out. And I just prefer, like, I think my brand will be built the way I want it built when I put that level of care into it and put it out on that level.
Yeah.
But it's also why I built the company page and pre-film a lot of stuff over there, because maybe we do want to go sell it. Maybe we do want to run the paid ads properly. Maybe I do want to call you up and say, hey, Ben, put me in touch with a buyer, man. Give me a big boy check. And
when you're ready, let me know.
And that's why I have that over there. So that's a long tangent on the content stuff.
Well, I mean, you know what you're doing. You've done this for long enough. You're not stupid. So everything you do
Thank
is
you.
intentional. Yeah, I came to Miami to tell you that you're not stupid. Everything that you're doing is intentional, and whether it's like thought out or subconscious, I don't know. But I mean, at this point, you trust your intuition, and so if you're doing something out of intuition, it's the right move.
I think
because
there's
you have
also
enough experience.
That I appreciate that. Thank you. And there's also a level of figuring it out still, because, you know, when I've run my content in the past, it's very much just flow. And with just flow, you know, you lack structure, and then maybe you do 10 tweets one day and then one tweet the next, and that's not going to work, you know, for a consistent brand. Also, on the other side, for other people, I've built a lot of structure around their content, but not at the volume that I'm trying to push. Because most people are like, well, I don't know how I'm going to film that much to go and post 500 times a week. Well, I want to figure out a way. So it's almost like combining a lot of the structure that I built for other clients and the flow that I like creating in, along with the volume that I need all at once.
Yeah.
And that's been a process of figuring it out, because there's very few people that I know of that have actually even done something along those lines and at that level.
Yeah, I think everyone's figuring it out to a degree. If anyone tells you they have the whole thing figured out, it's like, that's just not true. It's like uncertainty is the key. So if you ever have certainty, it's like, it's not worth
Let's
doing.
talk about that.
It's like,
because I saw you do software. I
Yes.
saw you do a crypto project. I saw you do lots of things at the old company. How didn't you know when to try an idea and try to go all in on it versus and maybe go all in on it and then shut it down? How did you know how to navigate that? What did you feel?
it literally just intuition. It's like, if something is not feeling right and you've tried it for long enough, then it's probably not the right thing. If you've done something, as Hormozy says, enough times to unreasonably be where it's not reasonable for you to be good at it yet, and yet it's still not having any traction, then it's probably time to move on.
That makes sense.
Because it's probably an issue with the vehicle.
I agree.
The other thing is, like, if you're trying to come up with a new vehicle or a new product or a new thing to sell that no one's ever sold before, or a new business model that no one's ever tried before, and you're wondering why it's not working, it's because it doesn't work. Because of the 8 billion people on the planet, if it were a viable option,
Someone would have done.
Someone would be doing it for you to go and then copy. But the fact that no one's doing it successfully means that it's probably been tried. You're probably not the first person to have that idea, and that it's been passed over because it hasn't been working.
Yeah.
So very few times will you see someone come out of the blue and do something completely new that just ends up working. It's all a lot of borrowing, a lot of systemizing, and putting your own spin on stuff.
What's your big vision? You can talk about things like this, right? We talk about what to do with business, where to go, private equity, buying this company, selling this company. Talk about intuition. You're a smart guy.
Yeah.
We can have these conversations. But is there a big vision that you're working towards? Or are you just like, man, I'm just trying to make some money and live a good life?
Well, that in the short term, but long term, it's $100 million private equity fund, and sell it to a.
Why?
Because it's a huge number. It's a big accomplishment.
Okay.
Like, I'm building something that's.
Does it get you anything?
What do you mean?
Does having that 100 million private equity fund get you something that you couldn't have right now?
In terms of.
Like, some people are like,
Bigger stuff,
I want a
yeah.
private jet. I want this. I want that. I don't know.
My life probably wouldn't look much different than what it does today.
Super chill.
It probably wouldn't look a lot different. Because right now, if there's something that I want, and I don't want me to sound like anyway by this, but if there's something that I want right now, I can pretty much just go buy it, unless it's a ridiculous price thing, which, like, I don't know. I don't really have my sights set on buying big things as like a long-term vision. I more want to create stuff
Neither do
that's
I.
really cool.
So
I
you just
want to
wanna create
build really
cool
cool
shit.
stuff and have that be validated by its worth.
I'm the same way.
You know what I mean?
I'm the same way. You know, I think when I was younger, when I was 22 when I first moved to Miami, I was like, I need the car, I need to look a certain way for like a month or two. And then I was like, I just want to do my thing, create cool stuff. And that's usually the people that I resonate with most. And usually the people that are my clients are like that because they think the same as me. So like yourself, which is cool. And it's almost like it's a group of like people that are builders, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think life changes in factors of 10. So you're making 0.
Oh, you're being an engineer right now.
Yeah. So you're making 0, and then you go to make 10, your life changes.
Yeah. Okay.
A month. You go from 10 to 100, your life changes. 100 to a million a month, your life changes. But it doesn't change from like 10 to 20. Like even doubling your income most likely wouldn't change your life a significant amount. And so for me, that's what made me comfortable in reinvesting more to achieve that 10x on to sell my company for 10 times or for 50 times what it made in a month, right? That's what made me comfortable spending more money. It's because whether I make 100K this month or 50K, you might think your life's going to look different, but it's not.
Yeah.
You're still going to buy the things you need. You're still going to have a lot left over to invest or to spend on whatever you want, right? But your life will change if you can sell for $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, right? That is when your life will change. And you'll be able to do much bigger things with that capital. You'll go invest in companies that'll be lifelong assets. That's when your life starts to change. So when people are willing to invest some of what they've made into getting the bigger picture, that's when real doors really unlock.
For me, when we talk about vision, we talk about building. I think the thing that I resonate with most that you said was I just want to create cool things. And I also believe that that's I don't know how religious you are or if you are or not. Whether you want to call it the universe, you want to call it, some people call it the all-powerful, whatever, God. I think our purpose for being here is creating. And business is a vehicle for that.
Yeah.
And at the lower level, it's like, let me just figure something out so I can be financially stable in this world. Because money runs this world. It's energy that's stored up that we can use for food and whatever. But when it comes to that being set, all I really want to do is create great things. That's all I really desire to do. I have a concept. I'm not going to talk about it on camera. But the concept is basically, how much can I say? Because I don't want to give it away. I don't want someone to be like, that's mine now.
Steal your idea.
Because it's not ready yet. It'll be like a couple of years before it's something. But I'll tell you. But off camera. But it's a concept that basically it will be launched off my personal brand. I'll use my personal brand to grow my current company as big as I possibly can. But my personal brand, it's important that I keep it me and not just grow on social media, I want it to be me, who I am in every sense of that word. Whether it's my relationship with friends and how that looks and who I like to be around and the things that I personally like and my relationship and how I personally operate on a day-to-day basis and the health side of things, the fitness side, everything, it's me. I then have a project that will come after that will be launched that is the perfect embodiment of me in a physical sense. Huh. And it will be like a location-based thing with certain products and that sort of thing. And we could talk about it off camera, but my bigger vision is the best thing I could create is a replica of the life that I want to live and give it to other people, which we're going a little bit deep here. But how could I do that? And a business is a great vehicle because, one, it can be profitable. But two, how things look in this day and age is, the companies. We go look at Europe, for example. they loved, individually, that guy that makes the bread over there, he likes making the bread, Then that's these small towns, The farmer, he liked being a farmer. That's his living. It allows him to live a great life. And for me, with the leverage of the internet and the leverage of network and capital and everything we've talked about, creating a replica world that I live in to give to other people is that's the concept that I want to do next. I want to create and build next after the cash flow money is like, quote unquote, check mark, taken care of, the whole thing.
Is that why you started, or has that changed since you started?
I think it's changed since I've started.
What was it when you started?
When I started, I just want to get some money to not have to work a job.
Yeah.
And not worry about college and go through the traditional type of system.
Yeah.
But over time, as I've become a conscious adult, and I like to say conscious adult because I think maybe even 3-4 years ago, I was just kind of, I'm going to make some money. I'm going to have some fun, And over time, it's become, I want to build something great, and I've started to learn and realize who I am as a person. And what I really mean is who I am as a soul. I think individually we have life paths that are like destined for us, that are like determined by our souls. And for me, I've started to realize who I am in that sense and what that looks like. And with that clarity, I can start to talk about that vision.
Sure, makes sense.
And the money from the company I'm building now is simply fuel and energy that I can use to put into that vision and that creation and grow it.
You got to take care of yourself before you take care of the big vision. 100%. 100% agree. That's why I got into it too.
I didn't lose you there.
No.
Okay.
Of course not. I got into it for the same reason. It's like first you fight to get something, and then you transform it into exactly what you want. I think that's how a lot of people do it. It's like first it's selfish, and it's got to be selfish because you got to take care of yourself. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing it for something bigger, then you're probably missing out.
Yeah. So if there's someone watching this, like let's talk about the audience that's probably watching this. The audience that's watching this is probably you from maybe 5 years ago, 5.5, 6. And if there's a lesson that those people should know, because you were in those shoes, what the hell should they know? To go faster.
Uncertainty is good. That's what I'll say. Uncertainty is good, and it means that you're doing something right. If you know what every next step looks like, then you're probably not on the right path. You got to be able to live in the uncertainty. You got to be able to have open ends to what you're doing next and be okay with that and handle the pressure. Because the most successful people can handle uncertainty and pressure incredibly well and just live through it and keep the same vision. If you can do that, then given enough time, you will get exactly where you need to be.
Do you think everybody can make it?
No.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Who can't make it?
I don't know. I think sometimes people's brains are fried beyond repair by false beliefs and false upbringings where they believe that the world works a certain way and that they're just not cut out for the big things. And so the fact that they truly believe that means that they'll never be able to get over the limiting belief, which is really sad. But the older you get, the less likely it is that you can break those beliefs. You're more likely to break through those beliefs at a younger age because honestly, you're stupider. And so you're not mature enough to be set in your ways yet. You're still impressionable. So you should get those impressions that you can do whatever the fuck you want at a young age. Otherwise, it gets harder and harder for you to convince yourself as you get older.
I've talked about it before, and what I've said is dumb enough to win.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of dumb enough to win where you don't even know any better. When you're set in your ways, it's really easy to be like, that won't work, because your life experience might have taught you a certain way.
Right.
But when
you're
dumb enough,
you're trained to think it won't work, the stronger
like your habit is like a box that you put yourself in.
Yeah.
And it's strong,
it's
especially
really
when you
bad.
try to break out of it. It's like, why do people get addicted to drugs?
Yeah. Well, honestly, one of the reasons why I feel like I can dip my toes into a lot of different projects right now, because I know what I've done, and I know
you have that confidence.
I know I can make it work.
Yeah.
So I come and I apply myself, and I don't put any pressure, and I just understand the uncertainty, and I have fun with it. And that's why honestly my projects work. It's because I can just let it fly. I have the confidence. I don't have any beliefs where it's I need this to work. I don't know if it's gonna work. You know, and people do that, and they put too much pressure on themselves, and they burn out because they can't handle the pressure.
You're also super smart, and you have a tenacity. Dude, I watched you come in here yesterday and sit down, and you were just hammering. You were just going at it with the ads you were making.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't even need to do that. But you're like, I'm trying to go to next level.
Well, that's fun for me.
Stack the chips, and it's fun. And, you know, that's another element of it is you aren't set in your ways. You're open-minded. You try a bunch of shit, and you're tenacious. It sounds like I'm just like,
Psycho.
this is like Ben's celebration right now.
That's the college wrestler in me. I mean, when you're fighting someone that's resisting you 100% and they have combat training, the odds that you're going to get a takedown or the effort that you have to put in to get a takedown on that person, it's like you literally need to expend 100%.
I've seen you talk
of your
about this
energy.
before. You like to hire athletes.
Yeah. It's because they understand the relationship between hard work and output better than anyone else. Like,
got it.
I'm not saying people that aren't athletes can't be successful, but I'm saying athletes understand what it's like to, for example, be down by 1 point. Takedown's worth 3 points in college wrestling right now, but be down by 1 or 2 points and have someone's leg, and you need to get them to the mat in the next 10 seconds. And if you don't, you lose the match. Like the amount of application that you need to give to that moment and the effort and like the 100% just all out technique, relentlessness, and just application of what you know and what you're trained to do that you give to that moment and you apply that to business, it's like you're not going to lose.
I do think there is a caveat to it from my experience, and that is sometimes the star athletes, are they the star athlete because they're naturally talented, or are they the star athlete because they know what work is? And I'd rather have the guy that's maybe not as naturally talented but knows what work is versus the guy that's naturally talented and will cut corners
100%.
because he can get away with it.
100%.
And that's the one caveat to the athlete.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, exactly. I'm not hiring the star athlete that shows up to practice 5 minutes late every day. You know, it's even if it's like a mediocre athlete that just has the grit and the will to show up every day. Because I coach wrestling right now. There's some guys on that team that are fucking animals. Like, no disrespect to anyone, they're not going to win the NCAA championships, but they show up every day to practice. They come to all the optional practices. They love doing it. They're asking questions. It's like, this is someone I would love to work on a business with because they show up every day and they fight and they don't take no for an answer, and they believe in themselves and they have confidence, and that's the kind of person that's going to win. That's why I like coaching engineers, because they have a certain like technical.
You're also an engineer.
I'm an ex-engineer. Yeah, they have a certain technical approach to tenacity that's just really, really special.
How would you describe me? Am I an engineer type? I don't know.
You're calculated. I wouldn't say you're an engineer type. I think you're calculated, but you still have the athlete's grit and the just not taking no for an answer. I know you go to the gym a lot. Did you play sports growing up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Lots.
Yeah. It's like
since I was 4 years old.
Baseball.
Baseball.
I'm sure you played
baseball is the big one.
Yeah. It's like the kind of the baseball mind where it's like it's more calculated, and it's more of a like positional, strategic application of it. It's less like fucking punching someone in the face or lining up on the line of scrimmage and tackling someone, right? That's a little bit different approach, but like the tactical, I need to be here when this happens, and then I'm going to exert all my energy like a baseball player, like explosive little spurts. I see that in you.
Interesting.
Like when you need to get something done, it's like an explosive spurt and you get it done.
That's a really good analysis, because the thing I've noticed is like my subconscious, and I think everybody has this, my subconscious knows if this is something that needs to be done now or not. And if it needs to be done now, I just sit down and I get it done. If it's something, and I have a lot of urgency around it, like, oh, I got to do it right now. Yeah. Oh my God. Not like a anxiousness, like a, let's go. Like, let's get this done. Whereas if it's something that I don't need to do, but it's like on the list to get done, I just kind of put it, I'm just like, nah.
Me too.
That needs to be done next week.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
and it doesn't affect making money today. So, or accomplishing the thing I'm trying to accomplish today. So I'm not really going to worry about it right now. I'm going to worry about it when it comes to it. And it could be procrastination, but I think it's only procrastination if I decide I have to do it right now and then it really doesn't need to be done. I want to focus on the needle moving stuff now and go full effort.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good analysis.
Haters will call it procrastination. Chads will call it winning.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, you're procrastinating. No, it's just not important enough to do.
Yeah, it
I have
doesn't
other
matter.
stuff. I have
It
other
just
stuff
didn't
to
matter.
do.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Oh, what's going to cost me an extra $10? Not worth my time. Like, to be honest with you, I'll do it later. I have other stuff to do right now. People that are like so obsessed about making sure they're not procrastinating sometimes do the wrong things just to avoid the
Busy work, busy bullshit work
Yeah.
that doesn't actually need to exist, such as I sit there and I check my emails all day. Dude, I haven't checked my email in 6 months.
Yeah.
You know? And that's probably not a good thing, but
Could have some good deals in there.
no. Nah.
Everything I
text
do
me.
is through email. All my
Really?
everything's through email. Yeah.
Oh, it just feels so boomer.
Maybe I'm a boomer. I'm
Nah, you're not.
turned
You're not.
30 this year.
Ooh, how does it feel? I asked you this yesterday.
Yeah.
Does it feel any certain way?
I feel a sense of contentment of what I've been able to do in my 20s.
Okay.
Knowing that it's coming to a close. And excitement for being older and wiser. Just another year.
That's cool.
Another year.
That's cool.
It's like turning 22.14697. It's like it's an arbitrary day in time. Like it's just like
That's fair.
there it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like a big round number. So what?
What are you
Like,
gonna? You gonna go to the club for your birthday, Ben?
Yeah, I'm gonna get hammered.
You gonna go to 11?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've been there together before.
Oh yeah.
Long time ago. That was stupid.
Years.
That was
years.
stupid. I don't know how people go there every
Like
weekend.
I said, you got to get it out of
Yeah,
your
you got to
system.
get it out of your system. It was interesting. I'm a little younger than you, obviously. 3.5 years. Maybe no, not even. But when I turned 26, I was like, I'm no longer 25. Obviously,
Another
nah.
day. Yeah.
But 25 was a little bit of a wake up. 26 was really like, whoa, 30's coming. I don't feel that old. I still feel like I'm 20 for whatever reason. You know, I'm healthy, very
I
healthy.
felt like I was 20 till I was 28. Just not to scare you.
Yeah.
Not to scare you.
Yes, I mean, no, I'm not scared at all. But to me, at 26, I was like, I gotta make it. You know, this next goal, I've been at X amount, plateaued for too long. I need to make it.
Yeah.
And it really clicked in for me, like go. And not out of like anxiety, just you can do better, you can be bigger, you can be the guy, you can be the man, as we say.
It's not easy being
It's not
the
easy
man.
being the man. No, it's not. It's a
You
big
can also-
burden.
You can also fuck up and try again in 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
And still be fine.
Of course, and I know that,
Yeah.
but there's something about it where it's really cool to say I did X in my 20s.
Of course.
You know?
But I think it's people are getting younger and younger that are just blowing up out of nowhere, and like that's the standard that people set. But in reality, the number of people that are stuck, frustrated at X age
Oh, it's way bigger.
is thousands, 10,000, 100,000 times bigger than those small
Oh, yeah.
fraction of people that you see that are doing these
And
big
I'm
things.
not comparing to others.
No, I know, but it's just the survivorship bias that we are just being fed right now.
Yeah.
And thinking that if I don't do it like this guy by the time I'm this crazy young age, then I've failed and I've missed something. It actually
Sure.
prevents us from doing it at all at any point.
I agree. And that's not
Trying
where
to
mine
rush- you're
comes
trying
from.
to rush it
That's not where
just
mine
because
comes
this other
from.
kid did it. Yeah,
Like,
I understand.
yeah, I don't
just
really,
need to
I
make
don't
that
really
point.
even. No, of course, that is happens very often, where he has this and he has this car and I need this too and I have to get it now and he's younger than me.
Well, I'm older, right? And I don't have that. What is wrong with me?
The-
Like I should stop trying.
The answer definitely isn't external. It's always internal. For me, it's like at 21 years old, business was doing 100K a month. At 26 years old, still doing about 100 to 200 a month. So I need to be better. I need to improve. And a lot of stuff happened in there. Business partnership splits, some personal life stuff happened that like, threw me for a loop. Some health stuff like exposure to mold.
Yeah.
Like that was awful. But just taking that train and making sure it's on the tracks and on the step of like, we're going to 10x from here.
Yeah. Well, people tend to grow.
That's
in
an
spurts.
internal thing.
It tends to be in spurts. It's never going to be this continuous.
Yeah.
Even like people like to draw the line of like, oh, do you have a setback and you get better? You have a setback and you get better. Like that's not even what it is. It's like you push, you grind, you get to a certain level, awesome. Then you stay there. And then you do make some tweaks, you do the right things, and then you blast off from there, you make 5x more, and then you stay there.
Yeah.
It's like life is about finding the ways to get those spurts rather than trying to always be better.
I like to call
people say, oh, better than I was yesterday. Like, okay,
sorry.
That's possible to some extent, and it's a good goal to have. But at the end of the day, if you're not like improving every single day, you don't need to hold it against yourself, because in reality, growth happens like in very short amounts of time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
I like to call what you just described a window of inevitability, where you get the chips aligned. The chess, you love chess. The chess, you get the chess pieces aligned to where basically no matter what happens on this chessboard, as long as I do X, Y, Z, it's inevitable that the goal is accomplished in this window of time, as long as I force the pressure into the system. That's kind of the window I'm in with the content right now, is everything's aligned. It's like, force it. It's a window of inevitability where this happens.
Yeah.
And everything else, like the plateau period, is usually I'm figuring this thing out. I'm figuring out the thing that maybe goes to the next level. I'm not sure what it looks like yet. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. Take a piece here. That's cool. This is cool. And then it all like develops and culminates into a window of inevitability, which you just described, where it goes, you just do that one thing and it goes straight up.
Yep. And oftentimes you'll look back on that one thing that you did differently as like, oh, that was so obvious. But there's no way to know.
You wouldn't have known until you tried it.
Because the thing that you do that you don't think is going to impact too much, it ends up being the thing that makes all the difference. And then vice versa. The things that you think are going to make all the difference just end up falling flat. And that's why like you have to try so many things. You can't be so dead set on one thing working, because you're going to get discouraged. Just try a million things, try it, give it your best, and then at one day something's going to pan out.
A good example of this, I'll give a good example of this. For my company right now, we have tried so many different things on the marketing side of things. And you know what worked? The one thing that first worked the first time when it just went crazy.
Usually what it is.
But it's like, oh, well, I want to try this and that on top of it. And what if we did this? And then you just circle back to that thing worked the first time. Let's do it again. You know, but
also follow the money.
I wouldn't have known that, by the way.
Yep.
Unless I tried all the other things and said, oh, the data says that works the best, and we produce the most cash from that thing. Let's just do it. You said follow the money.
Follow the money. Like whatever makes you money is probably going to be the thing that makes you more money.
I agree.
Don't chase something that hasn't made you any money yet and forgo something that's currently making you money.
If it makes you $1, it could probably make you $1 million. I don't care what it is.
I'd say 10,000 is the threshold for that.
I agree.
You can go sell a rose to a homeless man.
It sounds good to
say. Make $1 and probably can't make $1 million.
That's fair. Okay, let's say in the internet world of leverage.
Yeah.
Like if I sell a service for $1 to get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
Let's say 1,000. Let's say I sell a service for $1,000. If I can sell that service for 1,000, there's probably a reality where I can package it up and make $1 million in probably a year's time with that. So what do the pieces have to look like? What's my ticket price have to be? How do I have to sell it? Who do I have to sell to? How big do I have to be with an audience? Do I do outreach? Do I have inbound leads? Is it word of mouth? It's really one traffic source.
Try everything.
One traffic source, one sales, mechanism, and one fulfillment mechanism.
Yeah. Well, you try everything until something works.
Until those align, I would say.
Drop the other shit until you can sustainably do it all.
Yeah.
So, if I'm trying to sell my first software, my first subscription for software, I'll DM 100 people. I'll send a bunch of cold emails. I'll run some ads. I'll do some organic content. I'll try everything.
Yeah.
And then when something works and I get 2, 3, 4 sales, I drop everything else, focus on the one channel until it's big enough to sustain me in cash flow where I can pay someone to do the other channels that's already an expert in them so that they can set those channels up for me. I'm not an expert in ads. My ads suck. But there's people out there that run
Yeah.
exceptional ads.
Yeah.
I accept that. So once I can get enough cash flow to hire someone to do the ads for me, game over. They just do the ads. Like I'm smart enough to know that I'm stupid enough to not do ads myself.
Respect. I'm a little different.
Yeah, let's.
I like to just like to
wanna
do
hear
it
what you
all in house.
Yeah.
I like to know how to do it. It stacks my skill set. Like I can then I'm a more valuable person. I can offer services certain ways, the whole thing. But I like to do it myself because I've had many situations with agencies where I'm like, what are you doing? I just paid you all this money and you did this. Now I'm not saying this to everybody. There's certain situations where I'm like, I need you. Like, but for the most part, I would rather pay to learn it or pay to bring somebody in-house and pay to train them.
Interesting.
So that I have control over that system and it works within our system and all channels are aligned on all avenues.
Interesting.
Instead of bringing in an outside person that has their own system and does it their own certain way and whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
That's my preference, but I'm not saying yours is wrong.
No, I like that. On the big stuff, I agree with that. I just think if it's something that I'm not going to need to know how to do, and me not knowing how to do it is not a liability to the company,
Sure.
then I'm fine just saying.
We talked about
Take care of it.
with your website. Remember you were saying I just do the landing pages now?
Yeah.
Where did that change for you instead of
Because
having
I think
someone
I'm
else?
better than most people at web design.
So maybe it's my ego a little bit. I think I'm like, I'm better than you at
well,
selling.
you
I'm
are
better
better
than you
than
at
most
this.
people at most things. Just you have to know when you're not.
Sure.
You know, and just say okay.
Of
handle
course,
it,
of
you know?
course. I think it's also though, I would rather just learn it and try to be world class at it than bring in someone that I don't think is maybe 100% aligned with the vision that I need here.
How scalable is that though? Like imagine you had a team. So right now you say you're doing ads, you're doing management of your sales team, and you're doing.
No, that's handled. A lot of this is all handled for me.
Okay. So what are you doing in your business?
I'm just making content.
Okay.
I make touch points. I check things.
So if you knew,
But I'm a content guy.
right. So if you knew that, if I came to you and said, listen, I have a content agency that is going to script all your content for you.
I don't want it.
We're gonna come to you. Listen,
Yeah.
we're gonna come to you. You're gonna shoot in person. You don't have to touch any of the footage. It's gonna be high quality, and we've
Yeah.
scaled these other 100 businesses to over 1 million followers each. It's a proven system.
Yep.
It works. However, you're gonna have to pay us $20K a month.
Yeah.
But guaranteed, that would bring you to $1 million a month.
I wouldn't
you
do
wouldn't
it.
do
Well,
it?
it's different because I'm the content guy, and I've done that for other people.
Right, but they would come and get clips of you say, "Hey, Nick, read this. Say this to the camera right now."
I wouldn't do it.
No.
Because there's part of me where it's like I'm the content guy, so I can't have anybody else say that they grew my content because we teach people content.
Okay,
And also,
that's fair enough.
also with let's say it's 20, right?
Yeah.
I've managed videographers before. I've managed editors. Also, we have all the editors. We have a writer on the team. We have a videographer on the team, and it's less than 20 a month. So I would rather just have those guys on the team.
That's fair enough. Maybe that was a bad example. What
Okay.
about something like selling your business? And
That's
don't
different.
give me the answer
No,
that you
that's
think I
different.
want to hear. But so for example,
No, that I do think that's different.
for example, when I was going to sell my business,
You pay someone?
the biggest thing that I said to myself was like, I don't know what I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
going up against $100 million private equity funds that do these deals 50 times a year. This is my first deal. I don't know what I don't know. I need someone in my corner that
Yeah.
knows what they're doing. And I don't like it's a big enough life event where I will pay that person whatever they need to be paid.
Got it.
So I paid someone 30 grand for all in to be my mentor through the process. It's the best money I've ever spent.
I would do similar.
That like they saved
I would
me
probably
from
come
getting
to you.
cooked 10 times. Like cooked.
And that to me, okay, so here's the difference. I've realized what the difference is. I would pay for that because I don't know anything about that shit. Like I'm asking you multiples here, whatever. I know enough about ads where I'll go learn the ads. And I know a lot about ads. So it's like I don't need to learn ads. But that's an example of how I added the ads skill set is I know the content, I know the funnel, I know the sales team, I know all these pieces except I don't know great like media buying. Let me just like, I know every piece except for like maybe some of the numbers and shit. Let me buy a little course on it and like
Yeah.
catch up on it. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I add that skill to the repertoire because I basically already know most of it that any other media buyer is gonna maybe not even have the context of all these other things.
Yeah.
But something like selling my business, bro. I don't have an adjacent skill set to that. I don't know where would I start.
I see your
I
point
would go
too.
to you.
Yeah. So I did the same thing for learning how to build apps. So I could definitely go get a world-class developer to go try to implement all my ideas. The problem is I'm testing things so rapidly, and I have such a specific vision that they're gonna. I mean, especially if they're in India, they're gonna be 12 hours away. Don't hire an Indian development team unless they know what they're doing. Most of them are.
Did you waste a lot of money doing that?
Yeah, most of them are discount developers that are just gonna milk you for profit. Anyway, but something like that is a skill that I spent 6 months learning how to do myself, and now I can basically build anything and make it look good, make it work, make it awesome. So, owning a software company, it makes us so much more nimble because I can go into the software and make the changes that I need.
Yeah.
Like in an hour, instead of having to call my developer, explain what I need done,
and then
check
maybe
it before
sort of
pushing
done
it.
the way you want.
Maybe it's done the way I want. I mean, yes, it's important to be good at hiring and bringing on people that can actually do what they say they could do and get your vision right. Yes, that's important. However, there's still going to be a degree of uncertainty when you're communicating your vision, and I don't have time to explain it 3 times and say this is wrong, fix it. I need to be able to go in and do it in an hour. When we have 100,000 subscribers, sure, there will be a full-time development team that wakes up every morning, reports to an office.
But that's also different. Those are in-house people that are trained on the exact way you want things to run and be managed. They're not an outsourced developer that follows a different standard operating procedure than your company follows.
Correct.
And I think that's the key difference is I would rather not hire an agency. I would rather bring in a core guy that I train that does the marketing the exact way I know it's supposed to be done and I know it works, so I can remove my time from that and use that time in a higher leverage fashion, such as sitting here on a podcast with you while he makes sure the sales team is closing the deals and the CRM's updated and this and that and all that's done. I don't have to worry about that anymore because I know I trained him perfectly rather than an outside agency that's like, yeah, we do it this way, and this is going to happen, and boom.
In 2 years, you're going to be able to just buy an AI agent and train it.
I know.
And it's going to be able to do all that stuff for you the exact way you want it done, which is great.
And
but
then
until then, we got to
I look at that. I look at that where I'm like, it's going to be people on a team that are high leveraged that are then further leveraged with an AI that they also have that we have as a company for them. And it'll be just a bunch of AI agents along with a couple high leverage people that are basically our customer facing individuals that represent the company. What else is it going to, I don't know what, why do I need this person or that person, the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. What else?
On the note of AI,
yeah,
where do you think this is going? Because you have a company that is AI based. You mentioned it earlier, Click
We're
Labs.
selling the shovels to people that want to sell AI agents.
Nice.
You come on the app, build your own AI agent, sell it, monetize it through our platform.
And is this like, would you say it's something you're going all in on? Or would you say it's something you're just kind of dabbling in, having fun with it?
Well, I'm starting to crank up the dial because it's starting to make money.
Okay.
Okay. Last night I was doing a ton of stuff for it. Got a call with Blake later today. We're gonna pump the not the brakes, but we're gonna pump the gas in this because it's starting to work. But I think AI is headed in the direction where it's gonna be a much bigger part of business than anyone even anticipates right now. I think humans and AI are gonna merge like at a cellular level.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In the next 20, 30 years.
Maybe the chip? You talking about the chip?
Chip's gonna be mandatory in 10.
You think 10?
10, 5, 10.
Ooh, I think it's early.
Not mandatory, but you're gonna be basically a zombie if you don't have it because you're just gonna be so behind that you're either gonna have to face.
Are you gonna get the chip?
Probably.
I don't know if I'll get the chip.
I mean,
I don't know what I'll do.
I say that now, but what if a chip can make you basically into a superhuman, and you're competing with all these people that are chipped that can complete things.
I agree. That I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. That's like where my brain goes. It's like, okay,
if you're
I know
not competitive without a chip, and your entire life depends on your ability to be competitive, to make money.
Of course, I'm willing
you're probably
to
gonna get it.
I'm willing to accept that, but I'm also cautious of what happens if, can someone hack the chip?
Yes.
You know, so it's like, are they then hacking your brain?
Yes.
Do they then control your body? And obviously you're saying yes, so that's reality. I think the same way. So is that a trade-off I'm willing to make? I don't know yet.
A lot of people aren't going to be willing to make it, the trade-off.
I don't know yet. I don't think it's going to be 10. I think it'll be closer to 20. But I do think it's coming.
It's coming.
I do think it's 100% coming.
Yeah, I mean,
the AI that exists now will be an agent in your brain. And to tell the agents what to do, you'll just think about it and send the command to the chip, and the agent will go in 2 seconds and it's done.
If something is possible and helps any group of people get ahead, it will happen. That is the nature of things. Like, it will happen. And
I'm not denying that, yeah.
Unless there's some regulation put in, which I doubt there will be, because it has the potential to be so beneficial
for companies.
For companies, but also like nations putting in regulations on what we can and can't do. No competitive nation is going to restrict technologies like this, because it's just going to fall behind the nations that are willing to implement it.
I think what's really interesting,
yeah,
on the note of AI, there's obviously a dilemma with it, because you bring in AI, lots of people are going to lose their jobs over the next 5-10 years probably. And it'll come full circle, and then AI is doing a lot of stuff and ever more increasing. Now, the people that are like us understand that we are creators and we can build, and we've been talking about this the whole podcast. And so we can leverage the AI to do whatever we want and do it better than a human, because AI doesn't, in tech and code, doesn't make mistakes, as you always tell me. Which, obviously, yeah, of course. You're funny about that. It doesn't make mistakes.
People don't do what you want, and they complain.
Yep.
AI never complains, and it does exactly what you tell it.
Sometimes. Unless you're being ridiculous with the language model. And I cannot answer that. It's against my terms of service.
Sorry, that's not very nice of you.
Yeah, come on. Take a lap.
I can't say that about that group of people.
But yeah, I've gotten that a couple times on my chats and ChatGPT. But the thing is, it's like, in reality, what it does is it frees people up from needing to work a job, so they could be a creator and they could leverage the AI, and they could be amazing and beneficial to society. Imagine everybody in this world was like you and me and just wanted to create and build things all day long. Where would the world be? It'd be we would have insane progress in all facets. I can't imagine what it would look like. I can't imagine what it would look like. It'd be insane.
It's just more people working on when you say it like that, it's a higher quantity of people working on advancing the society.
Yes.
And as we grow, hopefully become
because
interplanetary.
Frees, like the job of cleaning.
Yeah.
You don't have to do, the robot does it now.
Exactly. Well, what happens when you can't do basically anything better than a computer? What happens to your job, your livelihood?
I don't think the computer, at least for the foreseeable future, will take visionaries though. And the human element of, I'm a creator.
Yeah.
I can create things, aesthetics, feel, vibe, etc.
Sure.
And that's where I think everyone can be very, very highly leveraged, because they can use the machines. But the unfortunate thing is, most of these people won't do that. They'll lose their job. They won't be a creator. They won't be a builder. What benefit do they serve to society at that point?
Well, then you have to have UBI.
You have to, but that's a tough thing to say.
Which is die. People are gonna start dying.
Oh yeah, but that's a tough thing to say. Is like, you don't serve a benefit to society in your current role because you aren't building or creating anything, because you lost your job.
You're not better than a free computer at anything. Therefore, there's no reason for anyone to pay you for anything.
And so if you're paying attention right now, it's like, I'm talking to the camera now. You're paying attention. You have to become good at something. Something
that's irreplaceable.
The
question is, what is going to stand the test of AI? What's going to be irreplaceable? And I don't think anybody knows that. Like, for all we know, AI could nail the creative thing and become even more creative than us in the next 6 months. And then that's fried. That wood is fried. We can't produce the aesthetic that ChatGPT can. And so all creators are now at a disadvantage. I mean, it's already, I can't create the ads that AI
No, yeah, it's good.
Did you see the creative
I meant more so, yeah, I know, they're good. I meant more so the visionary.
Okay.
I don't think for at least a while it's gonna have that soul, that creator type of energy that we as humans have, because a little piece of God is in each of us with our souls. And I don't think AI is going to have that, at least for a while. But it could
think
eventually.
it will get there.
I think it could eventually.
We are a collection of particles that the universe has created.
Uh-huh.
And so if you have a separate collection of particles that's constantly getting better, eventually, unless there's some
I just don't know what the end game
external-
is with it.
Right.
Do humans not exist anymore?
Yeah, not as we know it. We merge, and then you're just an AI with a consciousness, which is insane. But I think 20 years, that's what we're looking at. So get ready for it.
I think a little bit longer, but it's coming.
It's happening.
Something massive is brewing and coming, and it's going to get really interesting.
Stay ahead of the curve. Pivot before everyone else, and you'll be good.
On that note,
Yeah.
Before we go, what else do you want to add?
Just make money. You got to make money. I'm serious.
That was funny.
You got to make money. Otherwise, you're going to be behind. Like, I don't mean to scare people. Like, sure, you have time. You have a lot of time. It's not like you're running out of time. But
Sort of are.
I like to say that you have as much time as you want. But if you want to get ahead of AI, you probably have to have some money in your pocket, because that's going to be something that can't be taken away from you. You have to have assets, hard assets. Like, skills are an asset now, but more and more skills are going to become less and less of an asset, I think. As long as you have the right skills.
I think it'll just change over time.
It's going to, yeah.
It's gonna.
I also
adjust
don't
and
think there's a
change.
way to predict it either.
And I don't know if we're there yet. Like, AI is good, but I don't know if it's. I think we have a couple of years before it's really, really making a crazy difference. But I agree where it's going.
It already is making a crazy difference. Like,
I agree.
10 years ago.
But I mean like a massive, noticeable shift where people are waking up like, what just happened?
Yeah.
I think we're a couple of years, but I agree it's making a difference.
10 years ago, there was a decision made by, I don't know what commission, but there was a decision made that AI is not a threat until we can chat with it as if we can chat with a person. And now we can do that. And it's like, oh, well, it's not a threat until this happens. It's like, we could, just like the income thing we're talking about. Like, if you keep pushing the bar, eventually you get to a point where the bar, you're just never going to reach the bar. And there are still threats and dangers to the progress that you're making.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you just keep going forever and you ignore those threats until this later date that you keep pushing out, you're never going to address the threats. I think that's what we're doing, because that's human nature.
I agree.
It might be our downfall.
Probably
as
is.
a
Probably maybe the
civilization.
downfall of the engineers of the project.
Yeah.
Not you, but the software engineers.
Yeah.
Look, guys, this is a good podcast. We definitely got cut off a couple times for some things we maybe shouldn't have said.
Sorry, we'll cut it out.
We cut some things out.
Unless we don't.
But Ben is a good friend of mine. We'll probably see him on the channel, maybe in the
Likewise.
vlogs over on the other channel. And I appreciate you guys watching this and being here. And more videos coming, more podcasts coming, more talks coming. Ben's awesome. Go follow him. I'll put his link in the description below.
It'd be great.
We're just chatting about whatever. You know, we warmed up. We were a little stiff at the start, but we warmed up over time. And if you guys have further questions or things you want to see us talk about individually, drop it in the comments below. Appreciate you being here, watching the podcast, and see you in the next one.